I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is 6:01. We'll start off with roll call.
Alderman Benavides present.
Anthony LJISD present.
Esmeralda Solis present.
Merida Cantu present. Mary Hernandez present.
Roberto Zamora present.
And Alex Cantu present. I do declare a quorum. We move on to item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance, and if we can remain standing right after for the invocation.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, today we have Simone Tristan, is a student at Dr. Palmira Mendiola Elementary. She is 8 years old and a 3rd grade student. Simone was UIL district champ for 2nd grade storytelling last year. She was also district OSCAR top reader, the Oscar top reader in kinder. Simone has been submitting media projects to the Texas Youth Creators Award since she was a pre-kinder student. Her projects have placed 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and honorable mentions. Simone has participated in cheer team, soccer, and ACE program at her campus. Simone would like to become a dermatologist someday.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of the community. Amen.
Amen. Good job. Yes, we'd like to recognize Simone's parents tonight, her family. Could you please stand? Great job.
Thank you. We move on to item number 5, public comments. We do have one public comment by Ms. Vanessa Brown. Good evening, Ms. Brown.
Good evening. If I can request an additional minute.
That's fine.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Vanessa Brown, and I am representing the members of La Jolla ATPE. There are a number of concerns surrounding 2 items on the agenda under contracts for tonight's meeting that have been brought to our attention at the ATPE Executive Board. Under contracts, item 3, agreement to operate district program between La Jolla ISD and Region 1. 2 concerns that have been raised: have teachers, administrators, and stakeholders at Benavides, Leo, Peña, and Fordyce been involved in the decision to engage in this contract? And has data been reviewed to justify this contract? Teachers and administrators at these campuses have shared with ATPE that their first knowledge of being considered for this came when the board agenda packet was posted online. The staff at these campuses have shared that they feel like the hard work and progress that the students and the staff has made is not being taken into consideration. That they are a problem to be passed on to another entity instead of a part of a team that will work together with the curriculum experts in the district to make data-driven, goal-oriented decisions for student success. Additionally, our district already has existing agreements with Region 1 to provide support and guidance, professional development, and instructional coaching through the Region 1 partnership. As per TEA mandate, Region 1 service centers assist school districts in improving student performance, enable school districts to operate more efficiently and economically, and implement initiatives assigned by the legislature and commissioner. In entering the contract, an additional expense is generated. A change in leadership and structure disrupts the stability of normal operations at the campus, and the authority of the board and superintendent to oversee the functions of the campus is reduced. These concerns are only some that have been shared with the ATPE leadership team, but it begs the question: why not use the leaders and experts and resources within the district departments and at the campuses to continue to refine and improve the schools within the district? For board item contract number 4, discussion and approval of agreement to operate district program, dropout recovery program between La Jolla ISD and Region 1, similar concerns have been raised. The Dropout Prevention Department of La Jolla ISD has worked diligently to ensure that our students are enrolled within the district and continuing their education towards college, career, and workforce readiness. Additionally, many of the services proposed in the contract directly mirror programs, processes, and interventions that our secondary and recovery schools are already implementing. A contract with Region 1 to outsource these services removes the important relationships that are built when students and families see their principals and counselors at their door, reminding them of the importance of their education and building the connection that keeps them coming back to school. These contracts will also take valuable monies out of the classroom and away from students who are our most valuable investment. We ask for the board to reconsider these contracts carefully and honor those employees who are already doing their jobs tirelessly to make sure students are successful. Use the money that may have been spent on these contracts to supplement and enhance the campuses and departments discussed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Moving on to item number 6, Superintendent's Report.
Yes. Mr. President, members of the board, every year TEA requires our board members to go through certain certifications, classes, trainings, and ultimately to receive recognition for Team of 8 training. Today we have with us Moken Casey, Dr. Greg Gibson, who will come up and actually award and recognize this board for their earning the 3 credit hours for the Team of 8 training and certify the legitimacy, of course, and the hard work that this board has undertaken. So I'd like for our board members to actually step up to the front to receive their certificates.
May I call a point of order? We are now in the regular board meeting. The work session is scheduled for 6:30.
Yeah, this is not a work session. This is my superintendent report, sir.
Oh, you're going to bring it in under superintendent?
That's what I just did. Yes, sir.
But it's not listed there.
It doesn't have to be, sir. It's my superintendent report. Yeah, we're fine. I'd like the board members to please step forward to receive their recognition.
So as the board president is distributing the certificates, I just want to say congratulations to you all. In addition to the 3-hour team building training, which is required by law, you also are eligible to receive 3 hours in evaluating and improving student outcomes. And a part of this process that we've initiated is that you've exceeded probably the 3 hours at this point, but we're going to continue with just micro training. And so all to say that when I'm back anytime into the future, I'm keeping a bank for your next 3 hours, if that makes sense. And so I'll constantly have a list for your next 3 hours. So anyway, congratulations to you, and it's been my honor and pleasure to be part of this journey with you. And Mr. President, I'll hand you your certificate back. I wanted to make sure I read it correctly.
It's next. It's at 6:30. That's when it's coming at 6:30. Right now we're in
Moving on to item, we're not doing item number 2, right?
No, we're now going to, we're going to postpone those.
Okay.
We're done with item number 6, superintendent's report. That's,
Okay.
For me,
That concludes the superintendent's report. Moving on to consent agenda. Need a motion to approve.
So move.
I have a motion by Mr. Oresti. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Dr. Cantu. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Then moving on into letter A, contracts. Resolution of 2023-11 nomination for Hidalgo County Appraisal District Board of Directors for the 2024-2025 school year. Need a motion to approve. I have a motion by Ms. Solis. I need a second. I need a second.
you're just nominating somebody for yes, the Hidalgo County Appraisal District. Yes, do we have the
name?
ballot? We're going to nominate someone? Up to 5, okay. So do they do that now, Counselor?
Who are the board members right now serving for the district? For the appraisal district right now?
Mr.
I nominate Amador Requenes.
Amador Requenes and,
Second the motion.
I'll second that.
okay, I have a motion to nominate Mr. Requenes. I have a second by Mr. Oresti. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nominate Mario Chapa.
Mario Chapa?
Yes.
Okay, so then,
Second.
and I have a motion also to nominate Mr. Mario Chapa from Dr. Zamora, and then a second by Dr. Benavides. Anybody else? And I do a nomination also to nominate Mr. Betancourt also.
Second the motion.
I have a second by Mr. Oresti. So then we have Mario Chapa, Mr. Betancourt, and Mr. Requenes. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Under letter number 2, discussion of approval of local campus partner application and scoring rubric for the collaborative educational incentives.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, I'm going to ask Mr. Munoz to step up and just explain how this works as a prerequisite. One of the misunderstandings of a partnership of such is that we are giving up our right or direction in such a partnership with Region 1. This is actually a program that TEA recommends that districts actually participate in. These initiatives is something that our commissioner has been very confident about recommending, and as such, TEA requires a prerequisite that we have a list of criteria and prerequisites. So, Mr. Munoz, if you could please just share that with us, and we could move forward with
Mr.
this.
Gonzalez, may I ask a question to you?
Yes, of course.
I know that we have an item later on in the agenda related to adopting a policy related to campus partnerships.
Yes, that's
Would it not be
correct.
appropriate to do that one first, so that we can have a policy or not have
I think
one?
that would be great. I think that would
To
be
go
in
to the
line.
policy, go over it, and then come. to
Much
the-
agreed. Mr. Munoz, if we could go to that, which would be E, and then number 4, if I'm not mistaken. So letter E in our agenda, and that would be agenda item number 4, discussion and approval of local, if you want to read E4 for us, Mr. President?
Yeah, we're going into human resources, letter number 4, which would be discussion and approval of local board policy ELA campus partnerships. Do I need a motion to approve? I need a motion to approve.
So move.
I have a motion by Ms. Solis. I'll take Mary Hernandez second. All those in favor signify
Can
by
we
saying.
discuss
Yeah.
Yes.
several items now?
Yes.
Okay, can we open it up for discussion?
Again, Mr. Munoz, just an elaboration on the local policy, which would lay the foundation.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Board President, Mr. Cantu, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Gonzalez, ladies and gentlemen of the board and community. So on this item is for the approval of local board policy ELA campus partnerships. We currently already have a policy in place at the legal. We did not have the local. Adopting and approving this particular policy would allow us then to incorporate the 2 exhibits that we had seen that were originally under discussion, right? The scoring rubric and the application that operating partners would then be able to submit for your review and approval, right? So like I said, we do have a legal policy in place. This would be the local policy.
Okay, now in the items that are up for discussion tonight, we have those 3 items up front. one having to do with possible partnerships, charters. In that case, it's a charter for the first one with elementary campuses. And
That's
then
correct.
then there is one for the 4 campuses. And then there's one for a credit recovery program. And this one would oversee the whole.
This local policy would allow the board to engage in campus partnerships with operating managers so that in the future, if we were to want to continue or open up the possibility of having some operating partnerships, we would then be able to use that application to engage with operating partners and then use a rubric to be able to score them.
I would like our legal, if they can elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yes, Mr. Board President, members of the board, and Mr. Gonzalez. Dr. Zamora, you're correct. ELA local is basically the local policy that would set the parameters for the process for the board to consider applications or requests to enter into Senate Bill 1882 agreements. Because we didn't have a local policy on it, the only guidance that we had was statute. And so what ELA local does is it creates a local policy for the board to review and to follow when it comes to considering these potential partnerships. And if you see the draft in your packet, it has all types of requirements, all types of oversight requirements, monitoring systems, from anywhere from who may apply and what needs to be in the application. So it just lays out the groundwork if the board so chooses to adopt this policy for in the future, if the board does choose to enter into an 1882 agreement, it allows for y'all, it has the rules of the game, so to speak.
I had a question, Mr. Castillo, on 148, where it says failure for 3 consecutive years to meet the academic or financial accountability. Am I reading it correctly that you have to wait 3 consecutive years before there's a revocation, or am I reading it wrong?
No, ma'am, that would just be one of the bases for revocation, just one of them. So there's multiple bases for that. Persistent or serious violations of applicable state or federal law, persistent or serious violation of provision of the charter performance contract, persistent or serious failure to meet generally accepted accounting standards for fiscal management, and persistent failure to improve student academic achievement for all student groups. And then the one that you stated was failure for 3 consecutive years to meet academic or financial accountability standards outlined in law. So this would just be, if the board wants to terminate that agreement, it would be one of the reasons to do so. Not the only reason, but one of them. So no, we would not have to wait the 3 years if there's other serious issues with the performance of the operating partner.
But it could be, I'm sorry.
From reasons 19 through 25, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it could be one individually?
And it could be one individually, and it could be even more items that we place in the performance contract, as per number 20 in the draft.
But this would be a 10-year contract, correct?
A 10-year? No.
Okay,
It could
so on
potentially
page-
be up to 10 years.
Yes, the 10 years is the max, and I believe the minimum, Dr. King, is 3 years? Yes.
So we have here on page 145
Yeah.
that the request that the board schedule a public hearing to allow applicants an opportunity to present their application and plans to the board and the community before decisions are made. So I'm foreseeing that if any charter comes forth, that there will have to be a presentation then to the community, and I would expect that be done even prior to with campus people too.
Yes, this would be part of the 1882 process. Yes, sir.
And then it does state also what Mary is saying here, each charter performance contract shall address the specific and material terms of the campus charter's operation as required by law, and that it shall be granted for a period of up to 10 years.
Yes, up
So
to.
Up to.
I know that it says up to 10 years, but that, I think, and then later on it says that you can extend it for another 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know why we are thinking in the matter of 10 to 20 years.
This policy was just taken straight out of TEA's website on their recommended policy for boards to adopt when it comes to these 1882 agreements. So it just gives the board the most amount of latitude. This wasn't drafted from scratch. This is the policy that TEA put on their website for districts to present to their boards that are considering going into this 1882 process. So obviously, we could modify this as much as we want. It's a local policy. But yes, that's where this language came from, straight from TA's website.
Okay, so then on the next page, and I think that these items, by the way, are so important that we need to take our time walking through it and making sure that if anybody has any concerns, that they do get voiced. And so that's my purpose for going page by page here. So campus charter autonomy, so that says, in accordance with law and the charter performance contract, the board shall support the operating partner's sole authority. The operating partner's sole authority over the campus charter's day-to-day operations and budget. Now, in different points, and in a prior meeting, we had been told that it was just the instructional programs, CNI, curriculum assessment. This one is getting us into operations and budget. So the question here in terms of policy is, what do we mean?
Yes, sir. So what's required by statute and by law is that the operating partner have sole autonomy. Now, what the district's role, when it comes to the day-to-day operations, the way I like to think about it is the way a board is their governance model. A board does not interfere with the day-to-day operations. The superintendent, that's their realm, right? So that basically takes that concept and places it on an organizational structure. So if the board does decide to go into an 1882 agreement, the operating partner would have the sole authority to deal with the day-to-day operations. Not the board. The operating partner would have the sole authority to deal with the deal-to-deal operations. However, the district, the board, and the administration would have the governance role, which is to set the expectations, and also to oversee whether they're meeting those expectations or not.
So the operators, whoever it is, would be having their own governance board. And we have our own governance body.
Yes.
And then based on other items that are here. So what happens at the campus level is pretty much going to be under the governance of the governing board, well, I'll get there when we get to it. But at least at this point, and Dr. King, you're up there, perhaps you wanted to address that.
Yes. First of all, at the last meeting, what I specifically addressed was the operating agreement, a basic operating agreement, not an 1882, right? And we talked about that's an option that the board can choose to go to. So in terms of that basic operating agreement, there's a contract that's a little bit different from the 1882. And so that operating agreement is over the instructional program.
Correct.
And everything very related to that, right?
So Dr. King, so you have a little bit of context, sir. We're on the board policy, ELA local. We have not talked about the contracts yet, but that's correct. They're two different. Just so Dr. Zamora has a little bit of clarification as well.
And
they're two different issues. Right. This is if the board chooses to move forward with this policy, this would kind of would allow for the board to enter into an 1882 agreement in the future.
Correct.
But the contracts that Dr. King is here to present on are not 1882 agreements. They're just performance agreements,
right.
Which they're modeled after 1882 agreements, but it's the statutory requirements are not all there as required by this local policy.
Yes, so that's a distinction. So, Mr. Munoz, you're not done yet. So thank you, Dr. King.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to
clarifying that
I wanted to clarify because
different than what
it's two different things.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's just make sure that we focus on what's on the agenda at this point, that we were able to move forward.
They're all on the agenda, sir, at one point here tonight.
What was that, Dr.
I said they're all in the agenda.
No, I understand, but we
this
just need to make sure
Okay.
this item, we need to stick specifically to this item. I had a motion and I had a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, how many nays do I have?
I'm a nay.
Nay.
Okay, you 3 nays and 4 yeas. Motion passes. Then we're going back to item number 2 under contracts, okay? It's discussion and approval of the locals campus partner application and scoring rubric for the collaborative educational initiatives. I need a motion to approve or a motion to open it up for discussion. If there's any questions? No questions, I need a motion to approve.
I'll ask the basic questions. What can charters do that the school district is not able to do?
I'll motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss?
I'll do the second to discuss.
Well, you had a motion to discuss.
Okay, motion, and I have a second by Ms. Solis. I'll open it up for discussion.
So I think I heard your question, sir. The basic difference is if the board does choose to go through an 1882 agreement, is that we would be under a special funding formula, which would qualify the district for extra funds for those specific programs. That's the benefit.
Now, my question is, what is it the charters can do that the district staff cannot do?
Nothing, but that's the benefit of going into these 1882 agreements. It would be
So
extra
what is
funding.
the primary purpose then for moving to the 1882 type charters here? Is that for funding purposes?
It would benefit the benefit would be it would bring extra funding to those programs.
Additional resources with working with the region. You mentioned timing. We certainly didn't take our time to create poor performing campuses, Dr. Zamora. It took years of neglect and inattention. And as the new superintendent and very proud chief academic officer of this district, I'm recommending was in the best interest of every child that we have neglected, every teacher that we have neglected, and these campuses that traditional approach have failed, right? And so you ask, what's the difference? What we're doing here is in good faith as educators, which you are one, right? We're reaching out to enhance not only resources, but monetary resources and funding, and we're actually doing and aligning ourselves to recommendations that our very commissioner of education is suggesting and recommending that we follow, right? So how long did it take us for us to reach the poor status of each of these campuses? And I would also say that our teachers and our principals at these campuses, they're expecting this board and this superintendent to take action and be sensitive to their needs. This is an academic exercise, not a political exercise. This is not an opportunity for a political stance or statement. This is a focus on student needs. We have ratings that are not where they should be. We have a status of 4 campuses that we have carefully, this cabinet, filled with and composed of leaders that have dedicated 25 years of their lives to this district, each of them, right, have come together to explore and say what's in the best interest of our students as the academic leaders that you all have confided in. You all have given us your vote of confidence, right? We are the leadership of this district, and the administration is simply recommending what we believe wholeheartedly based on data-driven decisions and data-driven pedagogies and strategies. We're reaching out. You say, what's the difference? Why haven't we done the job already? Why have we failed at this point?
Well,
we're in a point, I'm not done, sir. We are in a point where we're just simply recommending, right, and following strategies that our commissioner, right, and the Texas education agencies have said, you all should try these opportunities, and we will meet your level of faith with funding and resources. But we have to follow by the rules. And so what we're doing today is having the rules explained to us. And what they are is we have to choose, if we're going to go into a partnership, a non-for-profit, a business, a church, other charter school districts. But what we're doing is exercising our faith in the #1 region in Texas, which is Region 1. And we're saying, let's partner. They are also qualified partners as non-for-profits. And I believe they're being led by one of the most outstanding, most qualified superintendents that this state has known, and has been superintendent of the year. Somebody the commissioner has said, you know, we can confide in this leader to help us here or there. What we're doing as the responsible administration for this school community and our children is reaching out, being innovative. We're being sensitive to the need and coming to this board with a recommendation to finally, after years of neglect, ask yourself, what led to this? Inattention, neglect. But we shouldn't have D campuses or low performing C campuses. And so we're looking at the lowest performing campuses and saying, what more can we do for these teachers, for these parents, for these children, and exercising our innovation and creativity. This is, I see, especially from anybody that has been in the classroom or an administrator like yourself, I don't understand why this would from anyone conform an adversary argument about what we're doing to best serve our children. And so that's our case to you. Please respect the fact that we're coming to you, Dr. Zamora, as educators, right? simply saying that we believe this will work for our lower performing campuses, and this will eventually, right, if we continue to see the progress, now, lead to additional funding and resources. The question begs, and what you're trying to establish is, do we lose control? We do not. This board establishes the goals, establishes the parameters. This board remains in control, right, of this. And this is an agreement where you say, we set the standards, we set the parameters, and we set the goals, and at any given time you can terminate this contract, right? But certainly, status quo, and I'm gonna say that no action is not an alternative. These kids, and these campuses, our teachers and principals deserve our attention. And that's what we're bringing to you tonight, is exactly that.
Now that I've listened, I would like for you to listen too.
Always.
Okay. So I am going to have to say that the children of this district have not been neglected for all these years. I have to say that the leaders of this district and the teachers of this district have done their very best and continue and want to do their very best. We have said we are a data-driven district. To this point, the scores came in, I don't know when, but we as a board have not had any access to the data. We have made moves of administrators, we have moved campuses, people and all, and to this date, we've been told it is based on data, but yet this board has not seen the data. And so we're expecting to make data-driven decisions in the absence of data. And so I want to say again to our teachers and to our administrators and to all, I know that you've not neglected our students. You have not. And what we're doing here tonight is not saying that it's being done because of that. And I would hope that you take that into your heart. And what is in 1882 and what is here, and as you go forward, you'll see how it is even more intricate and how the governance is even affected more so than we might consider it to be.
Right.
So.
We just need to make sure that moving forward, that our staff, we've always done a good job as a board to take care of our staff.
Yep.
And bottom line, at the end of the day, we're here for our staff, we're here for our kids. We just want to make sure that they get the proper and even more resources, especially because we know that some of these schools, they're not where we want them to be, but nobody should be afraid, nobody should be worried about getting fired. Nobody should be worried about losing their job.
Right.
Everybody here will have a secure job. The problem is that we just need to move forward and try to help these campuses as much as we can, because if we can, well, why not? That's why the people elect a certain governed board member, so that they can make sure that we are able to give the proper resources when it comes to as a district. But with that being said, is there any other questions or anything, any other comments that anybody wants to make?
Mr. President and members of the board, I just want to reiterate that this is not a question of faith of our quality of teachers. In fact, we're going to work with our teachers. We believe in our teachers and we believe in our principals. No one has asked for our teachers or principals to be replaced at any of these campuses. And I think that's where the miscommunication is. No one is replacing our teachers. We believe in our instructional outcomes. In fact, there is no district in Texas, Dr. Zamora, that has received any data yet because TEA has not released them yet. I think this is one of those years where we've waited the longest to receive that data, right? We have not received the results. We do follow, we are data driven. That's why every single week we've been tracking our data sets in what the outcomes are projected to be. And we do have projected scores as of last Friday, right, that we are following and being carefully adherent to. And again, I just want to reiterate that this is an initiative to be creative, to be innovative, to bring more resources, more attention, more support, financial and administrative support to these campuses. This is not going to take anything away from the campuses and is not taking control away from this board. And we're not approving 1882 contracts tonight. We're approving agreements, a partnership with Region 1 to bring greater attention to these 4 campuses.
In this first one that we're discussing, it's for elementary campuses.
So this
That's what
item,
you're rationally saying.
this item,
Let's
Dr.
say
Zamora?
4 campuses.
And now this item that's under discussion is more so the application. It's a standardized form that operating partners will be able to fill out in the event that they wanted to partner with the district. And then the rubric will allow the district then to evaluate these applications in a transparent way, and that would be uniform for everyone.
And I do want to make a recommendation too. I know that we're talking about data, and I do want to make sure that everybody up here gets the information that they need moving forward with data. I also would recommend a couple of committees so that board members can be part of it, and moving forward, we make sure that everybody's aware of where we stand as a district, and that way we're able to make decisions moving forward.
Mr. Munoz,
Yes, ma'am.
when you say potential partners, who are potential partners?
Well, now that we've approved the ELA local policy, right, as a district, like Mr. Gonzalez mentioned, if in the event that as a board we want to reach out to operating partners that they want to come and work with the district to improve some of our campuses, this is the application that they would fill out. Right?
Operating partners such as?
Operating partners, for example, in our region, we do have Region 1, that is a potential partner. In other regions and other areas, there's other charter schools, nonprofit organizations that do partner with districts to operate campuses.
There's only 4 entities that qualify as partners. 1 is a nonprofit organization, 2 is a charter school, 3 is an institute of higher education, and 4 is, I believe, another political subdivision. So those are the only 4 types of entities that would qualify under statute to be an operating partner.
And they would bring in innovative ideas and help us out when it comes to working with our schools, right?
Potentially. That's up to the board to decide during this application process.
And everything would come back to the board for approval.
Yes, sir.
So will we be seeking applications to submit for 24-25? Is that what this item is about?
That is correct, Dr. Zamora.
And so how will the determinations be made in terms of campuses to be affected?
At that point in time, we'll bring it up for discussion against to the board.
Well,
As
I
it is
don't
right now, we
understand.
do have those 4 elementaries under consideration.
I don't understand how at that point in time, because who's going to be, I mean, are we going to have a request for proposals? How are the partners going to know who it is that they are going to partner with? These timelines that we have here are very, I mean, like, you want to bring a recommendation here by November the 15th. I looked at all the requirements in terms of the plans that are needing to be submitted. I would think that there is very substantial work to be done within 2 weeks.
That is correct.
Of which they are coming to you by November the 1st. And we have not agreed here in terms of what schools or how many schools would be affected.
Right, we have agreed. There's only 4 schools that we're looking at right now, Dr. Zamora.
But not on this item, sir.
Which item?
That item that we're discussing now.
Just a criteria? Is that number 2?
We're at number 2. We're
Yeah.
at number 2 right now.
That serves just as a criteria. So I can definitely share with this board that we're simply and only looking at Region 1 as a partner, right? That there's a step and a prerequisite that TEA requires. That's what this is. Other districts, I'll give you an example, McAllen ISD, right? They're working with UTRGV, right? University of Texas to put together a high school program that they chose UTRGV as a partner. We are exclusively, openly, and only looking at Region 1 as a partner to help us with these 4 campuses and the after-school program, which I'm openly submitting to this board that we are looking to add attention, resources, and bringing in monetary support. So again, this is not a backdoor, something under the table, undermining, trying to sneak something in. We're openly, exclusively, and only looking at Region 1, right, as a partner to help us fortify our efforts where there is a need. That's it. That's all we're doing tonight.
So will Region 1 need to submit what is required here in this particular item?
For the 24
Because
school
he
year,
just
yes,
said
Dr.
a while ago that it's not similar, or it's not like what this is here.
For the other two items, it's operating contracts for this school year.
Which is what was
Please.
proposed at the last meeting.
I was gonna ask for
Supposed to go through this criteria, rubric, and so forth.
No.
And if not, why not?
I'll go back to what I mentioned at the last board meeting. Region 1 is willing to partner with La Jolla in any way that La Jolla asks us to. And we're here to meet you where you're at and help you get where you want to go. So we've talked about, which we talked about primarily last week, and I believe you have an item on the agenda on that, about a basic operating agreement. If the district chooses to go forward with an 1882 agreement and they solicit us to be a partner, then we are going to submit all the paperwork to prepare to partner if La Jolla ISD so wishes. So really that's, your call. We want to assist any district in our region in any way that in any legitimate way, right, that they want assistance. So we are familiar with the paperwork involved. It is a fast pace if it were to go on that timeline, but we would go all in if that's the assistance that the La Jolla ISD requests.
And correct me now here, both of you. In terms of funding, though, that would be available to the district, it would only be through an 1882 agreement,
Yes,
not
sir.
through the others.
Not the performance agreements that
So
are
the
on
four
the agenda.
campuses being involved, and then the single one that we have on another item on the recovery program,
Yes.
those are not 1882s, and therefore funding is not.
So the proposal, if the board moves forward with this item and does request for Region 1 to move forward with its assistance, would be to convert these agreements into the 1882 agreements, and then you would be eligible for that extra funding. These are the only two 1882 partnerships. If the board does move forward with these two items, or you move forward with the policy already, but if the board does move forward with this item, that the administration is considering recommending to the board. So yes and no is the answer to your question. The best lawyer answer you could get. Right now, if the board does not move forward with the 1882 process or these prerequisites for the 1882 process, you will not get extra funding. If the board does move forward with those prerequisites and does move forward with that process and decides that an 1882 partnership is beneficial to your district, then you will get the extra funding.
But only we're 1882s.
Yes, sir. And so that's why these items are on the agenda for y'all's consideration.
Dr. King, what is your opinion on the 1882 contract? Being the leader of Region 1, and thank you for being here every meeting as well, Dr. King. Sorry, but I value you being here and being a partner with La Jolla ISD, even without 1882 contract, of just coming to our meetings. But I do want to ask you your opinion and your benefits of what we're doing tonight.
Well, first of all, and I'll go back, and I think it's, fairly understood, but just to make sure. So the two items, one that I primarily spoke about last time, although the 1882 question did come up, and I did reference that was up to the district. So the operating agreement basically would bring the resources and talents of the Region 1 team to partner with your team and work together. And it would be overseeing the instructional program at the designated campuses. One of the things I also committed to was a lot of meeting, which we've already done and would do whether, if nothing's approved, but a lot of meeting with your leadership team and a lot of planning and looking at the student data that is available and looking at the curriculum and so forth. And so it would provide opportunities for additional training for the principals on those campuses, mentoring, partnering with very, very experienced principals, past principals, and individuals who have served as principals and assistant superintendents that have a history and a track record of turning around campuses and schools. Very, very highly qualified individuals. There would also, though, be a lot of co-learning, so they would be partnering with your leadership team there, but they'd be working with the principals, serving as a supervisor, meeting in grade level, working with teachers on the data work and the planning and everything else, and bring that effort in. And with the team we have there, I feel that very good progress can be made in short order. And I know you have a great team and all of that. The thing is, the opportunity I think here to bring in additional very experienced individuals that can really just narrow in and focus on these specific campuses. And so I think that's a great opportunity. In terms of the 1882, that is another step. And so on the operating contract, there's a lot more, I guess you could say, leeway. It's very much more local how that contract is laid out and designed, right? So on the 1882, the biggest difference on the 1882, for starters, obviously some people look at it because of the funding. And so more or less, I think the campuses here, we're talking about the potential is there for somewhere in the neighborhood of $800 or $900 per student additional per year. Well, that's significant additional resources. In the process of studying that, the La Jolla team can get the exact numbers because it varies by campus. And because what it is the differential for what the revenue that campus generates per pupil based on its student demographics and what a charter school receives, which is the midpoint in the state. La Jolla is a low wealth school district, so you get funded below the state average. Charter school district gets funded on the M&O side at the state average. So it would raise the funding for those 4 campuses up to the state average. Now, together with that, then, what the state requires in order to have that, what the state requires is they require a good amount of flexibility on the day-to-day operations on that campus. Now, in the 1882, there's still a lot of room for how you design, like what the budgeting process is and those kind of things. So, for example, I think I had mentioned to you before, if Region 1 were to partner with you in something like that, we would do everything as aligned as possible to what La Jolla ISD, like we wouldn't want to be, number one, that we would want the employees to be La Jolla's employees. We wouldn't want to be processing payroll. We wouldn't want to be processing POs. We would want to, so the agreement would need to be worked out where La Jolla ISD is receiving the revenue to do all the things that the district office needs to be. Our main focus would be the instructional program. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a couple examples. When you talk about flexibility, well, it says we have to have flexibility over the bell schedule. Well, if I would want to keep transportation with La Jolla ISD transportation, so unless there was a specific educational need, we would stay very aligned on schedules and all those kind of things because it just makes sense. So, something to change significantly would need to be because there's a very valid, strong reason, like that's going to make a big difference in student achievement. Basically, we're talking about getting in there and working really closely with the teachers and, coming in with the latest and the best practices, like I said, with very experienced people, and getting down there, rolling up sleeves with the teachers and the principal and say, you got a great team here, let's join in together and let's put our heads together and let's just move this forward and let's move this to let's move this up to be a high performing campus. And so that would be the goal. And I think it would, like I said, be a great co-learning experience. I think I mentioned last week, we are assigned by this is an extra. It hasn't been done by a service center before. It's certainly allowable. We have experts at Region 1 that go around and help districts with struggling campuses. What we do is we go in and we do an assessment. This is what needs to be done. So we do an assessment. Here's the issues. We do a diagnostic. Here's what needs to be done. And then we come back, and what the state assigns us is 5 days go to coach, kind of go monitor. But this is an opportunity for our staff also to learn, to continue to grow, because now we're coming in and saying, well, we're the ones that are actually going to take the responsibility jointly with you of moving that campus forward, instead of just doing the diagnostic, doing the prescription, doing a little bit of coaching, and then it's on you. Well, we're volunteering and say it's going to be on us too. So we're putting our reputation, everything else on the line, and saying we're willing to partner with you. And to me, this is like a pilot. It's a good opportunity for Region 1 if La Jolla wants to do this, and we'll jump in and take our crack also at working with you to move it forward. And so that's, I don't know if that answers your question, sir.
Correct, yeah, no, but I just want to elaborate again that with additional resources of funding, how does that support student learning, and how does that support our teachers?
Well, it supports student learning, and it supports student learning in several ways. One, it can provide for additional instructional resources. It can provide for additional tutoring time to compensate teachers for that. It can help to compensate for teachers to go through some additional training. Mm-hmm. There's any number of ways that can be targeted to do that.
And how does it support the teachers themselves?
Well, it supports the teachers themselves as well, in terms of, like I said, that it can provide for compensation for them for training and professional growth, and then it can also, like I said, compensate them for time that they spend, extra time they spend working with students, if that's what's needed. I think it's the opportunity also to raise to help teachers to continue to grow professionally.
Okay, and then one last question, because I know I've heard it from several organizations, but does it affect the teachers' TRS or retirement?
No, there's no effect. The teachers would continue to be employees of La Jolla ISD. Correct. They would continue to operate on their protected contracts that they have with the district, the chapter. If they haven't changed the number since I retired, Chapter 21 contracts. They would still have their Chapter 21 contracts and all their protections, through the district. They would still be in the TRS system, so none of that would change at all.
Okay.
I just wanted to make a comment, and thank you, Dr. Kim, for being here with us today. But one of the things that I had told our superintendent was that we need to create long-term goals. And I think that this is just one way that we need to be, every year we need to create goals to where we're growing and we're improving every year. And this is just, for me, it's a start to making sure we get there. Where do we want to be, not next year, where do we want to be as a district in 5 years? And I think for me, this partnership is a good partnership, because you're just here to support our district. And everything that you've talked about it's a new innovative way to make sure that we're helping our schools get to where they want to be. And thank you for that.
Dr. King.
Yes.
Having worked at the service center and believing in what Region 1 does, and service was our middle name because it was always, serving the schools. If all of this were to be gone and there was no opportunity, Region 1's responsibility would still be to service the schools the way you've serviced them before, correct?
Yes.
And I know in the past we would identify low-performing schools, and we would do exactly what you did, and we didn't have any F schools or D schools. We had very little C schools because we used the services from Region 1, and they would come and help us address whatever areas of need. So if we were not to join this, your availability to La Jolla ISD would continue to be the same and would be one of service so that we would get to where we would want to go, correct?
Absolutely. Like I said before, we're here to meet you where you are, help you get where you want to go, and we're here to partner with you in the ways that you want to partner. There's certain things that are mandated, like I said, if there is a school that's a DRF, there's requirements to go through some school improvement. I think, and it's up to you. If that approach works fine for La Jolla ISD and that's what La Jolla wants, then that's the way we work it. I think that the difference on this, if you do choose it, is you're talking here about basically operating the instructional program on the campus and providing the oversight to do that. So that's the difference in the two forms of helping. But definitely we're going to help. Like I said, we're here to help every single school district, every single K through 12 educational system in Region 1. So.
And perhaps because we don't have the scores and because we don't have, and we're not privy to the information that La Jolla is very lucky that we have an excellent data team and they can more or less project what the scores are going to be. Not every district has that. And in the absence of that data, it's difficult for us because we've never had F schools. I think last year we had one D school. So all that is, we're making decisions, and I understand why, because the state hasn't provided it. I understand all that. But that's what makes it difficult for us, because we're making decisions in the absence of data. We don't know. We've never had F schools. Like I said, maybe one D school, but in the past there wasn't even Ds and Fs. We never had that. And we were able to, and they're all there except Ben, they're all principals. They know that we didn't have that. And so I think that's what's coming into play here, and that's why we're looking at things and feeling like, well, wait a minute, when not everyone knows everything, it makes it difficult to make good, informed decisions. I believe in the concept of providing or enhancing opportunities for the teachers and the kids. I mean, that's what La Jolla ISD has always been about. We're known for our staff development. We're known for expanding opportunities for our kids. That's what has made La Jolla ISD what it is. And so that has never been, we've never been short of that. We're the district that trains the teachers the very best and gives them the very best opportunities and cutting edge opportunities. So we're used to that. We're used to that. And the district was known statewide for that. So now to be faced with, like many other districts, that we have, DNF schools, well, it puts us in a different light. But I just want to say, when you don't have all the data, it's very hard to make decisions, even though you believe in the concept and you believe in what the district is trying to do, and with the help of the service center. So I just wanted to say that.
Dr. King, I do have a question. What other districts does Region 1 partner with?
Well, this would be unique. So this is the first time we've had a district request this deep of a partnership, an operating agreement or anything like that. But I mean, we partner in one way or another with every district, from Brownsville to Laredo. Every school system from Brownsville to Laredo, we partner in one way or another with. That's our job. Like I said, this would be not only unique in Region 1, this would be the first time in the state and probably the nation for there to be an operating agreement between a service center and a school district.
Right. Parenthetically, I want to add that what we have here is some of the best educators from Dr. Benavides and Dr. Zamora here on this board. But y'all are familiar when we get together every month with all the superintendents at Region 1. And some of the superintendents, actually, we get together, bi-monthly and bi-weekly. But you have the best minds and the best educators, the most seasoned career educational leaders in South Texas here in this room, in this hollowed hall. There's a lot of history even in this building. But when we look at this cabinet and we look at when we're working with Mo Casey, led by 3 of the most successful retired superintendents, and consulting with Dr. King, we've come together and looked at data sets, Dr. Benavides. You know what's available to us through DMAC. You know what's available to us.
And La Jolla has everything.
And there's deviation points, allow me, 1 to 2% deviation points in every one of the data sets that we have. And we are data driven, Dr. Zamora. This staff, this administrative leadership team has got together, we've come together to discuss what's in the best interest of our children, each one of them, each campus. And the recommendations today, I don't think that we would have this proposal before you with Dr. King, with Mo Casey, with this team coming together to say, what is it that we have determined to be in the best interest? How can we turn the lower performing districts, lower performing campuses, around quickly, And so the recommendation, I don't think we're making a recommendation as to let's fill the water or we're taking the data that's in front of us. Certainly the TEA has not released the final. They probably will in the next days or weeks, right, in front of us. But we're not coming to this board uninformed, right? We're coming to this board with a team of the best educators in South Texas coming to bring an opportunity for success. None of this can harm this district, Dr. Zamora or Dr. Benavides. None of this can harm our teachers or harm our principals. It can only help us. And so whether it's new and innovative, it is. It is. But what we believe as the educators that have worked day in and day out is that this opportunity is something that will make history for La Jolla ISD. And yes, we're known to be a high-performing school district, right? We have national recognition in fine arts, right? We're known to be a high-performing district. We're not an A yet, but we're on the way to an A district, right? We're not where we want to be. We're good going to great. This district is good going to great. And this can only help us get to great. It can't help us become poor. And so resistance to a presentation and to recommendations coming from the top educators in South Texas to this board, the recommendation is just, we're asking for a vote of confidence to move forward to partner with the top region in Texas, with some of the top educators in Texas, so that we can enhance the lowest performing schools in our district. I don't see, as a seasoned educator, how this can hurt our district in any given way, but it can only enhance and make us better. And that is our presentation today. With regard to the question in data, we have DMAC, we're benefiting from it, give or take plus or minus, 1 to 2 percentage deviation points. We know where we stand, we're looking good and strong. Better than many or most districts, this board should know, lost at least 1 letter grade in their ranking as a result. That's why there are lawsuits against TEA right now regarding our data sets. But not this district. We're not losing our ranking. We're maintaining our ranking as a B district. But we want to become an A. And because we want to become an A district, and that's what this board has charged us to do, we feel the top educators in South Texas believe, and what we're presenting to you tonight is an opportunity for us to get to that A. And our students deserve that, our teachers deserve that, and I believe that this decision tonight will lead us in that direction.
Mr. Gonzalez, let me add on to it and excuse the public for being blunt about this, but Dr. Benavides made a point right now. We've been statewide recognized for our amazing teachers and administrators throughout La Jolla ISD, and our motto is a legacy of excellence, and we take that wherever we go, right? as a former alumni of La Jolla ISD, former administrator, third generation administrator for La Jolla ISD. But to be honest with you, and again, I'm going to be blunt here, but we've been overshadowed by misspending of purchasing of a golf course, a water park, indicted school board members, and I don't see partnering with Region 1 as a bad thing.
That's right.
I see it as setting the standard for Region 1. I think Mary had asked right now if that had been, if it had happened at any other school district in Region 1, and no. But again, we're going back to having a legacy of excellence at La Jolla ISD, and we're setting the standard for the rest of Region 1. And again, thank you, Mr. King, for having us here. For being here and being present in every board meeting.
For the essence of time, let's just move forward and then bring it to a vote. I need a motion to approve.
So move.
I have a motion by Mr. Uresti. I need a second. Second by Ms. Solis. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
I have 3 nays. Again, Dr. Zamora, Dr. Benavides, and Mary Hernandez. Motion passes. Under number 3, discussion and approval of agreement to operate district program for elementary campuses between La Jolla ISD and Region 1. I need a motion to approve.
I'll motion for discussion on 3 and 4, but again, just to elaborate on this is just to begin a partnership with Region 1. That's
Yes.
correct, Mr. Gonzalez?
That's correct, just an operating agreement.
And everybody remains a La Jolla ISD employee,
That's
correct?
Yes, sir.
But don't we have the program already?
No, and this one is.
Well,
the
let's
one
get a
for the
second
elementary.
so we can
Okay,
discuss.
let's hold on. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Uresti. I need a second.
I have,
I have Ms. Solis second.
And I open it up for 3 and 4, that way.
Yes,
we can
motion
talk
is
about
for approval of 3 and 4.
as discussion.
For discussion.
On number 3, I just have one question. Have the staffs from these schools been talked to about this partnership? Yes or no?
We've met with the principals, but have not discussed the details to the staff. So upon approval, we have a memo ready to explain to them that they remain employees and that they, again, they won't lose any benefits or any Chapter 21, benefits that they may be worried about, as was miscommunicated earlier tonight.
And then on number 4, I have only one question. Isn't this what we're doing with CCC?
Yeah.
It's exactly what we're doing with CCC, what we've done with CCC since 2008.
Right. And
Because we borrowed the ideas from PSJA, from Dr. King, and we patterned it after PSJA.
Right, I don't know what you borrowed, ma'am, but right now what we're looking forward to is to enhancing those programs that we feel need to be improved.
And so I know we've graduated a lot of kids as a result of that program, but the way I read the description, it's what we have through CCC.
So maybe we
So
can just
they-
have an explanation of how we would we be enhancing them.
Yep.
So what happened, because we had CCC in the West Campus.
Yep.
So can we get an update?
So Mr. Munoz and Dr. King, if we can just explain what the plan is to enhance
So tell us
our
about CCC.
our
'cause that's the
dropout and
one.
credit recovery programs.
Our CCC program right now is mostly helping us with our credit recovery. It's a credit recovery campus, working with students that are high school age, that are still within the 6-year cohort.
There's a
This partnership agreement would help us with those that are 18 to 26.
We already had that with
That's what
CCC.
CCC
Over the
does.
past couple of years, Dr. Benavides, we have gradually tapered that out. So we need to reinforce it, right? We need to make it back, like you said, the way it used to be.
So we
so
had
that
a
we can
campus
provide that
was
opportunity
CCC
for
and
those
we don't have it
students.
anymore?
CCC right now, Dr. Zamora, if you recall from last year, we combined West Academy and CCC. So the population that CCC is currently working, for the most part, are those students that are behind on credits. So it's
And
a
we were
credit recovery
graduating
program.
about 100 students at least every semester.
That is correct, Doctor. These are
So
kids
it's
that
no
are
longer in
coming.
existence.
CCC is currently in existence. It's working with credit recovery. We are giving an opportunity to those students that were falling behind, that had dropped out. That is the program that we offer a choice for them, so they can recover their credits and graduate within their 5th or 6th year cohort. This program would give the opportunity for those students that have dropped out, that are 18 to 26, to be able to come back and graduate. Something that we used to do in the past.
That's exactly what we used to do.
It was CCC.
That is correct.
And I don't recall it coming to the board. I do recall coming to the board of transitioning the West Academy into CCC. And I do recall asking for how were we going to merge them, but we never talked about changing the original intent of CCC was the board had approved 18 to 26-year-olds to be brought back. And
we still have them, Dr. Benavides. We do
I
have
know you
18 to
do.
26
That's why I'm
kids here.
saying, and this is exactly what we're doing.
Correct. Unfortunately, it's not meeting the purpose that we intended to be. And that is why we are partnering with Region 1 so they can provide those additional supports and coaching so that we can reinforce the program. Now, so there are some statutory restrictions that prevent us from housing the 18 to 26 population with the credit recovery. And now that we've merged West and CCC, we do have more high school age students in the building, right? So the building in itself poses a challenge to be able to house both populations there. And that is one of the reasons why we're not providing the services that we used to. And partnering with Region 1 will allow us to reinforce that and be able to provide that support and that service to a population that is beyond the 18 years old.
So you pretty much decided on your own that we would not serve up to 26 years old.
No, we still have it, Dr. Zamora, again, but because of the building and the fact that they're housed together, West and CCC, it poses an issue in regards to them being able to use the facilities and the building.
Mr. Munoz, but I thought when we approved that, it was, at least the way I understood it was two schools, but just in the same physical building, but they were still two schools functioning the same. I mean, as usual.
They were different wings, yeah.
It was going to be different wings, and they were going to be housed separately so that they wouldn't be together, and
So
they
is
were
that
going to
not
be
how
merged.
it is?
At one point in time, Dr. Cantu, I think CCC started accepting students that were still high school aged, right? That were younger than 18, freshmen that had fallen behind in credit, sophomores and juniors and seniors. So they started having a difficult time being able to schedule and coordinate both groups so they wouldn't be able to share the same common areas. And I'm talking about 3-4 years ago, right? That this happened. And so much so that when we merged them, and being that CCC now had more high school age students, it just became a harder situation to be able to coordinate both programs at the same time. And more than anything, it's just being able to house them in the same building.
So it hurt our CCC?
Well, statutorily, they're not allowed to be in the same passing periods, common areas, cafeteria,
Right, so I'm saying, so
hallways.
joining them hurt our CCC program?
Not necessarily. We were able to help out more students that had fallen behind with credits. Financially, it did allow us to make some savings there when it comes to staffing. But we see the opportunity there to be able to provide more support to that population of students that dropped out and that are now older than 18 that can't come back and be housed in the same building. And partnering with Region 1 and the expertise that they have in that area will allow us to be able to reinforce that program and that support to the community as well.
And our high schools were equipped to do credit recovery
That is
individually
correct,
at
Dr.
each, and
Yes,
they had the teachers and all that. So to have let that campus become credit recovery when there's staff at the schools plus the software necessary and the setup, everything was at the schools. We were helping both groups, so I'm baffled by that
And one of the
decision.
issues, and one of the reasons why administration is now really looking into reinforcing the support that we have for this population is their graduation scores. We are one of the districts that unfortunately has one of the lowest graduation rates within the area, and that is an area that we need to reinforce and improve.
And that was the whole idea.
And then CCC students count as a double dropout rate, is that?
When they drop out.
Or they hurt us twice.
And then they come back and then they drop out again, yes, they end up hitting us twice, Dr. King?
Under new legislation that passed this spring, they no longer count twice.
Okay.
And then I'll just mention a couple of things. One, La Jolla did approach us. They approached us with probably 3 or 4 ideas, and in the end narrowed it down to the 4 elementaries that they targeted and the CCT program. And like Dr. Benavides said, La Jolla was one of the early districts to jump in to the CCT. We are actually, this is an area that we're partnering with about 5 districts in different ways. We're trying to get this really going region-wide in terms of really, targeting the dropout prevention and recovery work, the 18 to 26-year-old work, and so forth. And there we have like 3 levels of partnership. So some districts we're doing training and we're helping them to monitor and measure. PSJ, we're actually going to coach them very deeply because they had also slid back on the work in the last few years. And part of it was because the state, there's some penalties, as you mentioned, from the state sometimes at work. Now, there's other, under new legislation, so some of the things that we want to do and work region-wide, but La Jolla is a great way to begin a pilot and lead the pack. And we look at, there's a number of, a good amount of new legislation when you're working with dropouts now. So some of the things that we want to do, one is, or that they've asked us to do is, one is look at this, that Dr. Benavides just mentioned that there's been this merging of the credit recovery and, La Jolla, like everybody's faced budget issues. And so other districts have done the same thing. There's districts that closed down their CCTA type program and just dropped it and said, well, they can go to the regular high school. So most districts, in all honesty, have kind of like slid back on this work. But in merging with the credit recovery and in merging with the other campus as well, it's kind of like, is there clarity on the mission, and kind of really digging in deep on that work and on the 18 to 26-year-old and everything that you can do with them. The other thing is that in La Jolla, like in most districts, the 18 to 26-year-old is a program. One of the things that we'd like to study, there's new legislation now that if it's a campus instead of a program, there's some extra benefits in the accountability system. But La Jolla LJISD's very strong data department is going to need to do a lot of data analysis and see what's the impact, what's the impact district-wide. So let me give you an example. On your growth measure, I know when I was in PSJ, we struggled with this my last 2 years because when they changed to put the high emphasis on growth, TA had no way of measuring growth on retesters. So districts that had it as a campus got hit real hard because all of a sudden it switched to growth being the price. Instead of having an alternative accountability with different cut scores for your dropout recovery campuses, they went to this growth measure for everybody. Well, they had no growth measure for retesters, so what did that mean? That meant retesters got 0, even if they grew a lot. And now under the new legislation, if you're a campus, you get credit for retesters for growth. So if you're a retester, even if they still fail, if they grow a certain amount, or if they were failing and they pass, you get growth points. And you also get additional credit on CCMR and other things. So there's some things in legislation that's going to take some time also to work out. But anyway, if La Jolla so chooses, then our goal is to partner, really rebuild up that CCT program to be, really there, get the partnerships with STC and others, get those young people certificates, get some of them started on associate degrees and build the number of graduates back up. And then really advise, like Dr. Benavides was mentioning right now, really advise on, how credit recovery, mingling that, or what's the way partnering and having those discussions and everything. So just again, here to help in whatever way that you would like us to help.
I do have some specific questions related to the agreement. I don't know if you have a copy of it, sir, with you.
I do not, but. But go ahead.
Go ahead and ask and point out what it is. Anyway, my thoughts here are with respect to staffing.
Yes, sir.
And then the financials.
Okay.
And the Chief Operating Officer here on page 87 of our agenda, but you're at 5.04. And this is true for both. I think the credit recovery.
What paragraph is this, sir?
This would be in 504.
Okay, let me go there.
So that the campus operating officer, that would be your chief operating officer, which at this point I'm even asking the question, so what happens to our principal?
Your principal would still be your principal.
Because it says that the chief operating officer will approve all teacher and staff appointments for the campuses. The chief operating officer, which is the Region 1 person,
Right.
budgets for the program. The chief operating officer assumes administrative responsibility and instructional leadership. So really, these are all duties of a principal that this chief operating officer is going to be doing. And so where is Ronnie going to be?
So first of all,
Well, this applies to the 4 and
Yes, sir.
elementaries and to the other.
Yes, sir.
So it's applying to the 5 campuses. So it is, it brings up, that officer will be assigning, evaluating, promoting all personnel assigned to the program. So if we turn to 8, to the next section on, well, it's going to skip some, but to 8.02, second line, Region 1 has the sole initial and final authority to approve the assignment of all district employees or contractors to the program, as well as initial and final authority to rescind the assignment of any district employee or district contractor. And then in the event that an employee is to be removed from the program, the district, then us, shall have the responsibility to find them a place or an assignment for that employee. So we have to find, if they're not there, we've got to find a place within the district.
Yeah, nothing different than we do now.
And then the authority includes hiring, assignment, evaluation, development, advancement, compensation, continuation, all terms of employment. And that we need to give you approval within the 20 days. So that's staffing. And I thought it important that if we haven't looked at it, that we recognize that it says we're turning it over to the service center.
Yeah.
All employees.
So,
and then the next one is on 6, which has to do with the financials. And I'm just wondering here, because we have very, I guess, strict financial requirements in terms of POs, purchase requests, and so forth, how those will operate and what thresholds need to be met for bidding, and will their expenditures there, where it is that we buy bulk as a district, rather than just as a campus?
all of the...
How all of that will apply in
So,
financials?
yes, so all of the, as I mentioned earlier, we have no intention of becoming the finance office, All of the financial items will be run through La Jolla's finance office. Now, let's go back to personnel.
Okay.
So on personnel, all employees who are on those campuses will remain on those campuses. What this applies to is pretty much, and you're right to a certain extent, in that this is authority, for example, that your principal already has. This is authority that you're so basically, if Region 1 is going to be accountable for performance on that campus, if Dr. Gonzalez there, Superintendent Gonzalez, wants to assign a teacher to that campus, well, the operating authority has very much like the principal. That person and the principal, they're going to sit and say, they have the right to accept that teacher or not, that teacher being assigned or not.
Right, but the final authority then rests at the campus level with the operating officer, not here.
It already does. It already by law, it already rests with the principal. It has for years, other than...
I don't know that our principals have the final say-so on that.
Well, when I was a principal, if I really needed to, you want to cooperate...
No, because they still come through the board for approval, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, well, the hiring will still be through the board. We're talking about campus assignment.
He's talking about assignments.
Right. Day-to-day operations, the principal has the full authority.
We are, so,
Nothing has changed with that operating procedure. Our employees remain La Jolla ISD employees. The principal remains in charge of that campus with all of the privileges of the administrative credential that he has as principal. Right. So processes, all student services, financial services, food services remains the responsibility of the district.
so the hiring would be done through La Jolla ISD HR.
Right.
The budgeting and budget I mean, the only budget for that campus is going to be the budget that La Jolla ISD allocates. So the campus has got to operate, within that budget.
It doesn't change.
And now the other, just similar to, because Region 1 is utilizing La Jolla ISD, HR department, contracts and all that, what Region 1 does not, what does not under this contract have the authority to do is to terminate anyone. So Region 1 cannot terminate anyone. But just as any principal, you get here and there, hopefully it doesn't happen, right? But here and there you may get to a point where there's an employee, you know what, we got to do something about this. So it would be conferring with the central office here, what are we going to do? Might be a growth plan, just like current procedures. It might be, you know what, this isn't going to work. Well, Region 1 does not have the authority to fire the person. So then we'd ask the La Jolla administration, what's the plan B? And it's actually not very different from what school districts do right now. You're trying to figure out, you've got a situation on the campus and it's not working out with a particular employee. Okay, what are the alternatives? And the difference is, like they said, the hiring and firing authority is completely with La Jolla ISD.
But your evaluations, it does say that you will evaluate. So in terms of grievances, lawsuits, et cetera, that may come forth, how would you handle that? Or what will be the role of the district? What will be the role
of the ISD attorney?
With grievances and lawsuits?
It's still us because the employees are still La Jolla ISD employees. So, like Dr. King stated, the authority that's granted in those agreements are all campus level, just like a principal has.
But let's say, just for the sake of our discussion here, that fault is not with the district, but is at the hands of service center staff.
Yeah. They can't terminate. They don't have the authority to terminate.
No, but in terms of filing a grievance is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, they would be our partner. They would essentially be operating the campus, so under our purview, under the board's purview. So there's too many of those issues, and that's going to be part of your evaluation of them, right? But yes, there are employees, so they are still under the jurisdiction of our board policies, including DGBA local.
Yeah, because traditionally the service centers have been in a service role and not an evaluative role. So here we're going to have evaluation going on the part of the service center. And so that's a different role.
Evaluation by the board to them, not evaluation from the service center to y'all.
As far as I'm seeing in here, it says evaluation. The authority includes hiring, assignment, and evaluation.
Well,
yes, of the teachers on the campus,
correct.
Yes, because they're operating the campus.
And that's usually where grievances arise. Or sometimes that's where they may arise.
So when it comes to teacher evaluation, the principal would still be the key person, just like right now. That would be evaluating the teachers.
Any other questions?
In essence, like Mr. Castillo said, the district's grievance procedures and everything would be the procedures that would be followed.
I have a question, Dr. King, and before I ask, I also want to extend my gratitude for you being here tonight and for presenting us with this opportunity and for being at our previous meetings as well. But because it is the first time, as you said, this is a new partnership for us as well, there are some questions that, and I think that's where we're coming from. We just need to make sure and clarify some things. And so my question is, going back to the COO, the Chief Operating Officer that will be at the campuses. So on this agreement, it says that the COO does everything that a principal does, which we've discussed, but it doesn't say works collaboratively with a principal to assign, evaluate, and promote, approve all teacher staff at the campuses, develop budgets. So that's why I think, well, I'm assuming here then it is the COO so what is the principal doing then?
No, the principal will continue to do everything the principal does today. The difference is that typically on the rest of your campuses, right? On the rest of your campuses, someone from central office is the principal supervisor. And someone from central office here at La Jolla can give direction on any of those areas, right? In this case, the operating officer will be the principal supervisor. And that's basically what it amounts to.
Any other questions?
And Dr. King, could you elaborate how you see working together, your staff with our senior leadership team and the principal? If you could describe the day-to-day operations in the spirit of what we're doing, in the letter of the law, and spirit of what we're writing down. It's just if we could, day-to-day operations, how you would see our collaboration and harmonize.
Well, first of all, to me, you know, the whole purpose of this is growth and progress. So number one, we want to see growth in student performance, right? And in the whole learning experience. We want to see growth in the teachers. So we want it to be a good experience for the teachers as well. We want to see growth of the principal. We want to see growth in our team. And we want to see growth in the La Jolla ISD leadership team. So working together on these campuses is an opportunity to bring these different talents and resources together. And the goal would be, can we accelerate the improvement on these campuses? That would be the goal. And that's like I said last time, you know, we were asked, and I said, yeah, we'll do that. And you know, it's stepping outside of the box a little bit, and it's taken a little bit of risk. It's taken some responsibility, like I said, jointly with you for these campuses and these programs to approve. So it's really saying, you know what? Because you're right. Typically, the service center is just going to come in and do the training and do a little bit of coaching, do some diagnostic, and then. But we're saying, you know what? We'll take what we're asking you to do, and what we're suggesting you to do, or but we'll do it with you. We'll do it with you. We'll do it side by side, and so we intend for this campus operator to be in very close communication with these people over here, and join together. And I believe both parties will learn and grow from that. In fact, the goal, like I said, the goal is if it's a success, then the students are going to learn and grow, hopefully at a faster rate. The teachers are going to learn and grow. The principals are going to learn and grow. These individuals here are going to learn and grow. The team at Region 1, I will learn and grow personally. You know, that's the goal, that we all learn and grow from this. It's not really about power or anything like that, or it's about, can we come together and you know, and learn and grow. And so that's kind of the perspective from.
And that would be good to consider for those bullets, since this is the first time, and probably this is the first time that this contract regarding the operation, I think it would behoove the districts that may want to do this, and the service center, to say that the chief operating officer, for example, will work collaboratively with the principal to approve all teacher and staff appointments, to develop because this makes it seem, this right here makes no mention of the principal.
Can we make those changes to this contract?
And they don't, and so it makes you wonder, well, and that was my little note here. So what will the principal do? Because those are the duties of the principal. So Dr. Cantu said it well. It's just, since it is the first time and we're reading this, and I tried to read it as carefully as I could, and
but we still have questions.
I want to see us enhance the role of the principal and give the principals opportunity to learn and grow, but nothing is said here about that. Nothing about what you're saying, that you're gonna learn and you're gonna grow and the principal's gonna grow and the kids are gonna grow. It's not in this contract.
So a lot of the language is in there because of if the board does move forward with an 1882 partnership, that's statutorily required, but we could definitely put more language in there to include the sentiments of Dr. Benavides and Dr. Cantu.
I would be more comfortable with that.
Right, I want to say something that I want us just to pay close attention to. When I looked at this and first brought this to Dr. King, and along with our cabinet, everyone that is here tonight, we looked at data and we looked at something that really challenged us. We have significantly more students than one of our neighboring districts. I'll just pick one of them, McAllen ISD. And it's challenging to us that we look at leavers. We have more leavers, right, than they do. But they have more leavers that actually come back and get a high school diploma. So they're doing something that we're not doing. That over the years, we're losing more kids and they're falling through the cracks and become 18-year-olds or 20-year-olds that don't see a way back. That our safety net wasn't as strong as it should have been. And maybe years ago, we did borrow something, Dr. Benavides, from PSJ when it was successful. And Dr. King, you know that this has been a passion of yours, right? Is how can we bring these leavers back and get them the American dream, high school diploma, so they can move forward towards college, workforce, or life. But we were well behind our neighboring districts, which are smaller than us. So yet there's more opportunity for us to do much better. And this was just one of those areas where we're not hearing from a curriculum salesperson tonight, and where we spend much more money purchasing a curriculum for this district that we never really find out a way to measure its impact on students. But tonight we have some of the top educators making a recommendation, Dr. King coming forward and saying, we can help. Let's go let's go strengthen our safety net, and let's go make sure that we graduate more kids. That's all this is. And we spend more money, this district spends more money on curriculum or programs that are difficult for us to measure their impact. But tonight, it is an incredible bargain for us to say, hey, well, let's partner with Region 1, and we can better and improve our language on contracts, no doubt, and we have good attorneys that can help us do that. But tonight we have seasoned, proven educators that are coming and saying, let's go save more kids, let's go graduate more adults, and strengthen our local economy. And that's what this is doing tonight. And we can promise, if our counselor here, our attorney, can strengthen that language to accommodate what Dr. Cantu and Dr. Benavides were suggesting, so that we can make sure, and I in good faith know already, Dr. King, that I know you're going to work with our principals and strengthen their professional outlook. I know you intend to do that. But if it can be reflected, that intent can be reflected in our contract, Ben, then it makes it all the better.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, let's just
on the costs now, because I know that we've said 48,000, but it also has a clause there that deals with professional development expenses. Are we looking for additional costs then for resources?
As I mentioned, we will look for resources if we can find, but other than any third-party resources that we can find or something, we have whatever budget La Jolla ISD provides, for that campus. We don't have, any budgeting, again, like Dr. Benavides said, working there with the principal, any budget available is the campus budget.
So whatever costs there are to be incurred for professional development, those would be those that are already budgeted within the campus?
Yes, sir. And like any campus, I guess, I have not, worked in this district. Like any campus, I suppose if there's an additional request, that request would be made to the administration. If there was some need for something, I guess that request would be made to central administration.
I'll make a motion pending the changes that Dr. Benavides and Dr. Cantu mentioned, and I'll make a motion for that to approve. I need a second. items 3 and 4. Can I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Resty. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Nay.
Dr. Zamora, Ms. Hernandez? No. Motion passes. Moving on to letter E, Human Resources. Number 1, request to reclassify a payroll clerk to a payroll specialist. I need a motion to approve that item.
So move for discussion.
I have a motion to discuss. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Dr. Benavides. Open it up for discussion.
37.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. We're gonna be, we're not creating a position, we're just reclassifying somebody to payroll specialist?
That is correct.
And they're gonna be doing what?
They're going to be helping at the payroll department. I know that that is a request from our CFO. The position is needed there. So it's not an additional FTE. We're just reclassifying that position. And, we're moving from payroll, payroll clerk to payroll specialist, right?
Do we have any other payroll specialists?
We have 2 other.
He's saying no, you're saying yes.
Payroll specialist, we have 2, correct? Okay, so we have a payroll accountant and a payroll specialist, so now we would have 2 payroll specialists. I was thinking Eva was the payroll specialist.
So
Yeah, she's a payroll
Eva is a
director.
payroll specialist?
She's a payroll director. And then we have a payroll specialist, that's Lydia.
Who is that?
Lydia.
Okay.
Lydia?
We have a payroll accountant.
Lydia.
Who is Lydia Romo. And we have our payroll supervisor, which is Eva Alcocer. And then I have 5 payroll clerks. And we want to switch the payroll clerk to a payroll specialist to assist in the TRS process, because TRS is requiring us to do the majority of their work.
There's a process for reclassifying staff. Has this position gone through that process for the evaluation of responsibilities, et cetera?
We normally go by the recommendations of the assistant superintendents, or in this case, the CEO.
But there is a process with a form.
We do have a process like that. So we basically, what we do is we look at the pay, we look at the job and responsibilities. So yes, we do have a form that they tend to fill out.
Has that been done?
That has not been done, Mr. Zamora.
So you said we have 4 payroll clerks, and you're going to move one of those to be a payroll specialist?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of them is going to change from a clerk to a specialist. I'm sorry.
So there will be 4?
Yes.
So we're only changing 1.
We're changing 1.
Yes, that's correct, Ms. Hernandez.
And I think it's important that we look at the roles and responsibilities, because now you have more than 2 in that department, or 1. So why not others? And
What
that's
do you
why-
mean by why not, like what?
To look at the roles and responsibilities so that those that may not be the ones that are getting reclassified will want to say, why her and not me, or him and not me?
Right, and one of the things that when they're looking at that is, again, what Mr. Ben Garza did was he actually looked at the qualifications and what's needed, and that's what he went ahead and looked at.
Yeah, but the roles and responsibilities are important.
And
Because we can have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree doing the same thing.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's something that he actually did. All he had needed to do is put it in writing, but that's absolutely, sir, exactly what he did. And going back to, he is the immediate supervisor. There's nobody else better than Mr. Garza, right?
In the future, I would recommend that you include the job description
Absolutely.
here for the payroll specialist. So that way, we're also clear on the roles and responsibilities of the person.
Will do, and the purpose behind it as well is that, again, the need is there with, in that particular department for Mr. Garza. And again, what we do is process over in HR, the recommendation comes in, and we need to go ahead and support his department, and that's what we're doing at this point.
I'm not disputing the need. I know that some people have retired and have not been able to get their papers processed and have not been able to get a check, and they have been contacting several of us. So I know that the need is there, but I'm just saying for clarity purposes, it would be good to have the job description included.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides. In the future, we'll include it. Thank you so much for your support.
So move to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Oresti, a second by Dr. Benavides. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Item number 2, approval of substitute principals and assistant principals for the 2023-2024 school year. I need a motion to approve. Need a motion?
I'm going to make a motion to discuss.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a motion by Dr. Benavides. I need a second to discuss. Second by Dr. Cantu. Open it up for discussion.
My only question is this for when people are absent, or is this for when people are absent for like a long duration of time?
FMLAs.
Yes, and that's a good question, is for whenever people are out for FMLA purposes and so forth. One of the things coming into the department, one of the things that I went ahead and asked was, what is the process when people are out, like for FMLA? And it was, we just call them up, right? And so one of the things that we knew that we needed to put in place is come up with a process, and this is the process. Taking it up for board approval, making sure that we have this, asking you all to approve a substitute pool of principals, and then now we could go ahead and call them. Now we could go ahead and call them in whenever there's people that are out on FMLA and be able to support our campuses
For long term.
Does that pool already exist, or is it?
We normally go out and seek people that we know of out there in the community that have worked here in La Joya ISD. So that's the way what we do. So now we will be able to start a pool, and then we'll be able to, take it from there.
Okay.
Can you bring us that pool?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
So move to approve.
Any other questions? I have a motion by Mr. Oresti, a second by Dr. Benavides. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Item number 3, retaining nurse aide positions being closed by attrition.
So move to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Oresti to approve. I need a second. Second by Ms. Solis. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed,
I'm going to vote nay on that. I think that we have a responsibility to start looking, and we finally made that decision, and we're not hurting anyone. I think this would be something for us to look at perhaps when we look at our budget and, budget preparation time, but not right now. So I'm voting a nay on that.
I'm going to do the same, but basically because I have in mind the number of students in the enrollment and the decrease in enrollment. We saw it last time. This time around, it's higher than it was the prior board meeting. So we're looking over $4 million already that we may be under.
Dr. Villarreal, this is just to retain if they leave, right?
This is just the FTEs, to retain the FTEs.
so that's it.
Yeah.
But that means, in
Instead
other
of
words,
closing it
instead
by
of
attrition,
closing
right?
it, that we're going to hire.
Right.
Yeah, but we had agreed that that we're not going to remove all of them this year, but that by attrition we would get there. And then we said that we would have them share campuses, so that's where we were.
Right.
So if I could explain that, yes, we currently have campuses that are sharing nurses aid, and in particular at the elementary and at the middle school, right? And what's occurring, because through the staffing allocation, right, we approved that if a nurse's aide would leave, then we would not hire, right? Because it was through attrition. So the recommendation that we're bringing is that if they do happen to leave, right, if it's a nurse's aide, that we do hire them, right? That we do hire.
So we're reversing.
Correct. That's what we're asking, right? We're asking that we reverse the decision that we made. And the reason behind that is we've had a lot of requests from our principals, and we've had a lot of requests from
our parents,
as well.
I can tell you that I'm an elementary parent, and my girls go to the nurse almost once a week. I mean, that's just the way
Yes.
elementary
Yes.
works.
If there's a need,
And I really appreciate, I know student services here, but I really appreciate the work that y'all do, because when my little girls go to the nurse, it's because they have a cough or they have something going on, and they just have that need. And it gets very hectic in an elementary school where you have several kids coming in, and then now with our pre-K3 program, I mean, they're more dependent on going to the nurse and seeing somebody if they're sick. So it really is a need for not only for our kids, but for our parents, so that they know that they're comfortable and taken care of at the school.
Right. I've worked really hard to cut this budget, everybody, and I've like I said, we've cut about $10 million of our deficit already this year alone. But then there's, on the other hand, in juxtaposition, we have parents, since my first meeting as a superintendent here, asking for us to sustain our nurses and nurses assistants. A high number of parents have called requesting that we please provide nurses and nurses assistants. And there's some places where we can afford to cut, and other places where I don't think our student safety is one of those where any of us should consider cutting and risking, student safety. And this year we've had a number of incidents that I don't want to mention here. It's just our students getting hurt, and I was grateful that a nurse was immediately available to apply first aid to our students. And so I'm going to please ask for support for the administration's recommendation tonight.
I would also like to say that all the schools that have a unit, I think they should have a nurse aide as well. I don't know if that's the case right now or not. I'm not sure, but I just want to say that I think they should have a nurse aide, because our special ed unit needs a little bit more support in their health, and so do our students. So I just want to make sure that those FTEs are going to the campuses that have a special ed unit.
Have we gotten all the nurses we need? Do we have any campuses without a nurse now?
I could tell you right now that we do have one campus that does not have a nurse, and that is Zapata Elementary. We do have our substitute nurse that is reporting over there until she's able to recommend. So we do have that particular campus as of right now. But we do have our substitute nurse that reports there on a daily basis.
Okay.
And she's an excellent nurse.
With that being said, I had a motion by Mr. Oresti and then a second by Ms. Solis.
We already voted.
Yeah. Well, there was what nays?
Two.
Two nays. Dr. Benavides and Dr. Zamora. Motion passes. Item number 4, discussion of approval of local board policy.
We already did.
Done that one. Well, then, you know what? It's been a long meeting. We thought it was going to be a short one, but it is 7:53. We will now go into executive session under Government Code 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, and 551.071. I need a motion to go into executive session.
So
I have a motion and I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? It's 7:53. We're going into executive session. It is 8:41. We're out of executive session. Moving on to item number H, personnel. I need a motion to approve. Item number 1, employment of professional personnel.
So move for items 1, 2, and 3.
I have a motion to approve items 1, 2, and 3. I need a second. I have a second by Ms. Solis. So those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'm voting nay on transportation director.
On which one?
Transportation director.
Okay, nay.
I'm going to vote nay on that one, too.
Me too.
Okay, I have 3 nays, one by Dr. Zamora, Dr. Benavides, and Mary. Motion passes.
Only on that one, though.
Okay, only on that one, yes. And then item number 4, discussion and possible action regarding general litigation pending legal items. So there's nothing on those items, right? No action on item number 4 and no action on item number 5. I need a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Solis, a second by Dr. Benavides. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, it's 8:42. This meeting is adjourned.